me, I am your host Dreadwing. Dive into the world of magic and explore the most stories full of wonder, fantastical delights. The lights!
Chapter 28. Vaggie woke up first the next morning. She immediately realized something was lying against her. Her blindfold kept her from seeing what it was and her bonds kept her from moving away, but it didn't take long to figure out who it probably was. Alastor slept soundly until he felt Vaggie begin to struggle and curse behind her gag. He quickly opened his eyes and lifted his head when he noticed his lover struggling against her restraints and smiled. "Good morning, my darling wife," Alastor said cheerfully. "Did you sleep well?" Hearing his voice only made Vaggie thrash more furiously. So, Alastor reached out a clawed hand over Vaggie's eyes and swiftly removed the blindfold. Vaggie laid the blinking to recover her vision until her eyes found Alastor sitting up next to her and settled into a glare. "It's so nice to be in your company, my love," Alastor said happily as he snapped his fingers and made the blindfold disappear. Vaggie simply glared back at him, not giving Alastor the satisfaction of hearing her attempt to speak through her gag. "Now then," Alastor said. "If you promise to behave, I will remove your gag and untie you. Okay?" Vaggie replied with a head nod and Alastor got to work. Alastor got up from the bed, moved over to Vaggie's head, and untied the gag from Vaggie's mouth. Vaggie remained surprisingly silent as he moved on to untying the rest of her. Alastor hummed a show tune as he untied Vaggie's wrist and ankle on one side of the bed while his magic telekinetically untied the wrist and ankle on the other side. As soon as her wrists and ankles were free, Vaggie stood up, threw the coat off her, walked past Alastor and straight into the bathroom, shutting and locking the door behind her without saying a word. Alastor sighed and shook his head, chuckling as he walked out of the room. Vaggie was so fickle. As soon as Vaggie had used the toilet, washed her hands, and heard Alastor shut the door and lock the locks to her bedroom door, she knocked on the bathroom wall to get Angel's attention. Angel groaned in pain as he knocked back. "Angel," Vaggie said in relief. "Thank God. Are you all right? What did Rosie do to you?" Angel scoffed and replied, "You mean, aside from fucking me until I was in and out of consciousness? Nothing really. I'll give that hag credit. She's got more stamina than any man I've ever slept with." "Oh, God," Vaggie said in disgust. "What did Alastor do to you?" Angel asked. "He gagged and blindfolded me after he tied my wrists and ankles to the legs of the bed," Vaggie replied angrily. "And then, when I was asleep, that shitlord came back to sleep next to me." Angel didn't respond, but Vaggie could feel the panic behind his silence. "Vaggie, you might not want to think about it, but are you sure that was all that he did?" Angel finally asked. Vaggie thought for a moment in a panic before she said, "I didn't wake up to any pain or feel any blood on me. So, I'm sure he didn't anything." Angel sighed in relief and said, "Good." "Wait," Vaggie said. "Why are you worried about me? You just spent a whole night getting raped." Angel scoffed and said, "I'm a slut, doll. I'm used to it." "You ain't." Vaggie chuckled and replied, "You're taking this far too lightly." "It helps to have a sense of humor when you're in hell, Vaggie," Angel replied as he shuffled himself into a more comfortable position in his spot against the wall. Just then, a thought crossed Vaggie's mind. "Angel, when were you last fed?" Vaggie asked. "By Alastor or Rosie? Have either of them provided you a meal since you arrived?" Angel scoffed and said, "Not a bite. Nothing for sustenance other than those damn smoothies. You know that. Why are you asking?" Alastor's starving you to make you more compliant for the auction tomorrow. Duh. I need to get Alastor to feed you. I can survive on smoothies, doll. You don't need to stick your neck out for me. You can't afford to. I don't think we can afford not to. You need to be strong. Vaggie. Knock. 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 Vaggie turned her head to the source of the sound outside her bathroom door, paused for a moment, and nervously said, "Hello? Is someone there?" "Yes, Vaggie. It's me," Alastor's voice answered from the other side. "Are you all right in there? I've freshened myself up for the day, and so, I thought I'd come back to check on you." Vaggie's heart sank in terror. Alastor had barely been gone for a few minutes. She thought they were alone. How much had he heard? Alastor knocked again and asked, "Vaggie, are you all right?" "I'm fine," Vaggie snapped. "What do you want?" "Merely to check up on you, my dear. As if you actually care how I feel. Go away." "I just want to know how my wife is doing." "Pissed, if I'm honest." "And why is that, my dear?" Alastor asked bemusedly. "Well, you slept on me after you tied me to a bed, gagged me, and blindfolded me for one thing," Vaggie snapped. "For another, you haven't fed Angel once since we arrived." "Vaggie, what are you doing?" Angel asked from the other side of the wall. Alastor scoffed and said, "That overgrown blue nose needed to learn some manners. You did as well." "Says the demon who slept with a woman he isn't married to," Vaggie retorted. "But dear, that is all I did," Alastor said defensively. "I only slept next to you. Not once did I touch you inappropriately." "You waited until I was asleep and too restrained to do anything about it," Vaggie protested. "You didn't ask." Alastor chuckled loudly and replied, "Why would I need to ask? I'm your soon-to-be husband." "Not if I have anything to say about it," Vaggie snarled. "Why have you been starving Angel?" "Vaggie." Angel tried to protest. "Simple," Alastor interrupted. "Most customers prefer lean and thin slaves. Don't they?" "Yeah, not starved out ones," said Vaggie. "By the time the auction happens tomorrow, Angel will be too weak to stand." "Vaggie, it's sweet how worried you are about the sexual deviant, but need I remind you that we are dead and cannot die again of natural causes?" Alastor asked. "Starving Angel until tomorrow won't kill him." "Neither will feeding him," Vaggie spat back. "If you love me as much as you claim to, you will feed Angel every meal today and tomorrow." "Hey, since we're talking about food, can Vaggie and I get omelets?" Angel chimed in. "Yeah," Vaggie replied. "I also want to eat the meal with Angel in this room or I'm not eating at all." "Of course, my dear," Alastor said. "I'd do anything to make you happy." Vaggie smiled until Alastor said, "But I have one condition. You two are not to be close and affectionate with each other in any way." "Don't worry, ya big, red prude," Angel replied before Vaggie could. "I won't even touch her." "For your sake, you best not," Alastor replied. "As long as you don't, you may eat." "Sweet," Angel said weakly as he tentatively got himself on his feet with the help of his crutches. "You will take Angel and the food to my room," Vaggie said. "I'm going to take a shower to get a night's worth of your sweat off me and both of them will be in my room for breakfast. Do you understand?" "Very well, my darling," Alastor said. "Thank you," Vaggie said. "Angel, I'll see you soon." "I'm looking forward to it, babe," Angel said as he painfully limped on his crutches towards the door. "Me, too," Vaggie said as she turned on the water to her shower. Once Alastor was sure Vaggie was taking her shower, he left the room to retrieve Angel. Alastor unlocked the door to Angel's room and let his prisoner out. Angel Dust meanwhile was shaking on his crutches as he struggled to walk to Vaggie's room. His once strong and powerful legs that let him jump like the jumping spider he was were reduced to muscle-less twigs. The one leg that had the busted knee was swollen from the infection that was starting to stink underneath its bandages. And much like his legs, Angel's chest and arms were so thin that even Vaggie would be able to snap him in half like a twig. Heavy and dark circles were lined under Angel's eyes and his fluffy hair was greasy and sticky with sweat and blood. His coat was torn and draped over his shoulders like a blanket. Only his shorts and his choker remained perfectly intact. Angel winced from the pain and from his bare feet touching the cold floor as his eyes moved up to meet Alastor's. Alastor flashed a sadistic smile at Angel's pitiful condition that melted into a pensive expression as he allowed him to hobble into the hallway. Angel noticed, smiled defiantly, and said, "You like what you see, handsome?" "No," Alastor said, coming out of his thoughts and thoughtfully moving his head to the side. "Your knee doesn't look very good. Neither does the rest of you for that matter. Your clothes are absolutely filthy. Your fur looks more disgusting than usual. Your infection stinks to high heaven." Angel tilted his head wearily and said, "So, what are you gonna do about it? Summon the harpy who attacked me last night to do something about it?" "No, Rosie is at her home resting, so your care falls on me," Alastor said as he turned to strike his staff on the ground and summon his familiars. "Now, come along. I must get you freshened up for breakfast." Angel's weary eyes instantly perked up. "Oh, yeah?" Angel asked seductively, hobbling a step closer to Alastor. "Does that mean what I think it does, handsome?" "Quite possibly," Alastor said, directing his dear familiars in Angel's direction. "Take Angel to my bathroom and bathe him while I get started on those omelets, if you please." Angel's eyes flashed fearfully as the dear familiars picked him up and carried him off to be cleaned.
I'm glad you enjoyed that video/gameplay. Just remember to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. Until next time, goodbye!